Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I got Fatty here and we're gonna talk about frustrating online dating yet again. But hopefully I can give some hope for you guys because I think there's a couple things that are starting to click into place and I feel pretty inspired these days to follow the path of self-respect. Because with these dating stories, the big theme is disrespect. There's a lot of that going around these days. When I mentioned to a coworker some of my frustrations. For example, I went on a date with somebody that I was actually interested in. I was attracted to him. He's bookish, has a good job. I found him charming. And I was excited to see him again, except in between that time and the impression I got on the second date just totally, for me, completely bungled it. Two things. First, he wasn't really listening to things I was saying, namely around my schedule and boundaries that I was trying to set down. When we met for the second date, even though he wanted to meet me while I was on my work break, he still, for some reason, suggested a place that was like 15 minutes away. So, I don't know. I'm always torn with stuff like that because it's like, do I give somebody the benefit of the doubt or do I just cut my losses when I see really stupid behavior like this? Because I'm of the mind that, like, if you met somebody that you connect with and you like them, be on your best game. I honestly, in life though, I think you should always be on your best game. Put your best self forward. So I personally don't understand things like that. I find it just bizarre and bordering on disrespectful. So I started to turn into full Billy Bob Thornton during that Q interview and get huffy because he also, like, I suggested a place near my work and I explained once again, I hate repeating myself, that I can't go somewhere far. I'm on my work break. So he meets me close to my work and he texts and he's like, hey, I've arrived, but he doesn't say where. And this is like a place that, like, there's a patio, there's like 2 floors. So it's like, where exactly? So I write back to give my location and I say, I'm in the cafe. He doesn't respond for 5 minutes, and that I don't understand either, because it's like, if you're meeting somebody and you're not being clear, why do you also kind of put your phone away? Like, until we're actually meeting, like, why is your phone away? I don't get it. And it's not like he came in the cafe, and now I'm kind of stuck because I'm getting my coffee, I'm waiting for my coffee, and my mind is sort of going towards, like, I'm just going to go back to work. This is, like, very bizarre. And he texts back. It becomes this, like, confusing texting of, like, he's saying he's in the hallway. He's not acknowledging I'm in the cafe. He's not really even showing any interest in, like, trying to figure out where the cafe is. And at this point, too, I've walked around the cafe. I've walked around the entrance. I've looked outside. On the patio, I don't see anything. That just continued, and he just kept saying hallway. It turns out he was actually outside. I don't know why he didn't say that, and I don't know why he didn't go into the cafe. And then we sit down. He still has to go get his coffee. So it's like, you've wasted half of my break with something that is, in my mind, stupid. So now the last part of the story was, he had asked me twice for photos. He has my Instagram account. He has the photos from the dating. And I've expressed twice, that's kind of like a boyfriend activity. Like, I'm not, interested in sending people photos. And then that night when he asked me a third time, I'm like, hey, I'm done. Like, so I look at this situation as, why blow it? You've met somebody, bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. You've met somebody. We seem to have a spark of attraction. What are you doing? But my friend at work is sort of saying, guys don't care. They don't care that they're hurting your feelings. They don't care that they're disrespecting your boundaries. They literally just are trying to find sex. And that's really depressing. And I really mulled on that because I hear this all the time. Like, all guys want is sex. And they really don't care what you're all about. And they don't care to respect it. And a lot of thoughts pop in my head around that. because I don't find that a successful approach. Like, say that's true. Say they don't care and they just want to have sex or whatever. I don't really find that a successful approach because this guy has spent one date getting coffee with me, a second date again meeting me for coffee. Like, I don't, why do stupid things? Could be ignorance, could be desperation. I have no idea. When I've been listening to Steve Harvey's book recently, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man, or Think Like a Man, Act Like a Lady, Steve Harvey's kind of saying the same thing. He's like, dudes are gonna just like try to go to bed with you. And when you start to sort of show that you're high quality and respect yourself, a lot of them are just going to drop off because that price is too high. He goes into a lot of fishing analogies too, I have to say. Like, dudes be either sport fishing or trying to catch a keeper fish. Sidebar, not a fish, but great job on the analogy. So I don't know. This is how I'm sort of seeing it now. There's a lot of dudes. I don't know what their reason behind wanting to get laid or the reasons behind what they're doing is. But yeah, they're gonna drop you as soon as their dumb methods. And this is where it's like, this is where I get mean and angry. It's like, I'm dating dudes in their 40s and 50s. Like, this to me is just stupid. Like, if you want to get laid, don't go for women like me who are looking for something serious and setting down boundaries immediately. Like, would you not recognize that and kind of like not even bother to meet me, or realize after you meet me that I'm going to be more of a challenge? And then why not step up your game? I don't get it. There's a lot around this I don't understand. I do get a lot of guys online that are just disgusting and, you know, will ask for pictures and full body shots and say really lewd, disrespectful things and then get mad at me when I lay down my boundaries. But it's like, those guys I don't, like, whatever. Like, that's, like, vibrating on a level that I don't want to be a part of at all. That's not the stuff that really, I don't take that stuff personally. Although I must say, it is disturbing. It causes, you know, anger and frustration in me when I'm trying to have a loving outlook on men. And I don't want to become disrespectful and angry at men myself. Like, I recognize that I am, and I recognize that kind of comes out, and I work on changing that, but I have to say it's not easy. I feel like I can only achieve that if I'm not online dating, because it is crazy the stuff is out there. I do not even understand the concept of not caring about making somebody uncomfortable. That makes me very sad inside. So I realize this is quite rambly, and I hope I can kind of tie it together. A lot of thoughts going on. I think the landscape of dating has changed ever since their Tinder came around, because I mean, online dating has been a thing for a long time, and I was online dating for a good 6 years before Tinder came about, and it was very, very, very different. I've said this in many videos. So I do think the landscape has really changed, and I think there's a bit of a power shift. I think people are treating each other like commodities. Unfortunately, I think that lands a lot on women being treated as commodities. I think women are losing how to respect themselves, or even losing a sense of why you should respect yourself, because honestly, I do have to say that being somebody who tries really hard to respect myself, it's been years of loneliness and alienation and frustration and hurt, because it's not just like the dumb trolls that you can brush off. It's also guys that you think are serious and you realize that they're just playing a weird game to try to use you. I personally find that the most disgusting thing is to present yourself, to like really listen to a woman's boundaries and present yourself as somebody who is hearing them and agreeing with them, when you're still only looking for sex. I think it's so disturbing that people will do and say anything it takes just to get laid and leave somebody hurt. Like that's a whole mindset that I've never had. I know we can inadvertently hurt each other, but there are people out there that do that on purpose. And and again, I'm dating guys in their 40s and 50s, and I'm dating guys who are bookish, intellectual, intelligent, funny, have their life together, whatever, and they're still using these like tactics that, quite frankly, teenage boys didn't use on me. So that's where I feel a lot of despair, is because you really, really have to weed through so much garbage, and you really have to become very smart and very full of self-respect and very willing to accept that, your life might be quite lonely, as mine has been, but I just think it's worth it, because I think giving your power to somebody, letting them disrespect you, and again, it gets tricky when it's like you were doing all the right things and they still used you like that. I have to learn more about how to cope with that, because I find that that's where it's really, really hard. Once again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I do think there's hope, and I can't even believe that like Steve Harvey is giving me some hope. But I just think that there are good guys out there that will respond to your high quality, and they're looking for high quality, and that's what I'm looking for too. And if I never get it, I never get it. That's a shame, but I have learned that I cannot lower myself to the vibration that is occurring in a lot of, in my case, the opposite sex. So I have taken a break from all my online dating, taken an energy detox, because I just don't resonate at this shallow level. I don't want to immerse myself in that energy at all. And I would like to purge the frustration and the anger and all of that I feel, and live in my own dimension for a little while. Because honestly, in my own dimension, I have like brothers who love their wives and are faithful, and are committed, and I have friends in beautiful relationships. I mean, we all have friends in like garbage relationships, like I'm not naive, but I do have a lot of men in my life that are not players, and they don't think it's a fun game to disrespect women, or disrespect women until the right one comes along, or whatever, that they value sort of higher, more honorable things. So yeah, I just want to immerse myself in that world. I mean, in a way, lockdown provides the opportunity to do that, because that's like the more safe, responsible thing. I have to say, like, I'm 1 week into my online dating detox, and I'm starting to sort of feel better, because I feel good about myself. I feel good about respecting myself. And it's just, the thing is, like, I can be lonely, or I can be lonely and angry and frustrated and have people trying to use me, have people trying to disrespect me. So I just feel like the quiet is at least allowing a space for hope, and for me to have a stronger relationship with myself. You know me, guys, a stronger relationship with God, or the higher intelligence. I'd rather be in that dimension where there's things at a higher energy level immersing my brain, rather than this absolute nonsense. Like, don't ask me for a full body shot. That's insane. Don't like send me dick pics or eggplant emojis or whatever. Like, it's just like, it's so gross. And I don't get it either, because that's not even a woman's sexuality. Like, even if I was on some kind of randy rampage, that wouldn't work either. Like, that is actually a turnoff. And a lot of these things come across as rapey. It's really uncomfortable when I've told you my boundaries and you're still asking for something. Like, I just consider that confusing, because how did you miss the basics of manners? And do you really want to be a person that just doesn't care when somebody's setting down their boundaries? But anyways, we do live in a very different world where people are treated as commodities. And a lot of men are just trying to have sex with you and don't care about who you are, who your friends are, what your thoughts are, what your feelings are, what your boundaries are. And unfortunately, when you start to show them what your boundaries are, they just disappear. And all I can say is try not to take that personally. It really doesn't reflect your value as a human being. It's hard. I get really dark sometimes because it is very exhausting to be treated like you're disposable. And yeah, the quiet desert can be really tough, but hopefully this strength will last, because it still feels better, you know? It's kind of like caught between two evils, and it's a lot to wade through the riffraff, and it's a lot to do without losing hope, and becoming so angry at the opposite sex and stuff like that, but, you know, that's just how it is these days. I think also a lot of people are just sort of ignorant on, I don't know, how to go about things. I also think part of what is hard about being a human is that we all have different preferences and styles and interests and what works for us and stuff like that. And somebody who's not really woke is just gonna go full force, like doing whatever they think, you know, reality should be, and not slowing down or being woke enough to realize that everybody operates a little bit differently, and, you know, what works for you might not work for somebody else, and it might actually be what's extremely rude for them. Because again, I see a lot of misogynistic behavior where it's like, you're doing something that makes me feel uncomfortable and is rapey, and I gently say so, and then your ego can't take it and you throw it back at me. So there's a lot of that lower level stuff going on as well. And that, again, that can be kind of hard to shake off, but it's just wading through the riffraff, and taking that as an opportunity to be stronger in who you are, and choose healthy things. Like, just try to make the best of your life in every capacity, health-wise, goal-wise, and to focus on things that are healthy rather than unhealthy. But it's hard. Like, it's, you know, I struggle with this. I've struggled with this for a really long time. And I'm just wishing everybody out there the best, because I also am told often, like, don't you think your expectations are too high, or don't you think your standards are too high? And it's like, I don't, though. I think that maybe women should be encouraging each other a little bit better to keep standards, because it's gotten quite ridiculous. I don't think it's too high of an expectation that somebody, you know, communicate properly when they're planning. Maybe that's not that person's strength, and I need somebody who has that strength. But if I look back on my entire lifetime, all the qualities that I like in a mate, that's such a gross word, wow. I have seen these qualities in different people throughout my lifetime. So I know they do exist, and I think I overall am quite a supportive, understanding, non-judgmental person. But at what point do you compromise yourself because you think that your expectations are too high? Like, those are very difficult things to look at, because I also look back at relationships and I did expect too much, and that's sort of part of learning. All I can do at this point is honor myself, and if I see behaviors that make me feel unsafe or terrible or like it's super frustrated and it's right off the bat, I don't think that's necessarily a criticism about my expectations. I think that's like a huge sign that like that's not the right person for me. So yeah, anyways, that was a lot of a ramble, so I'll leave it on like a stupid story. I was talking to this guy that I was actually quite excited about. He was spiritual, he read, we had a lot in common, he was funny, blah, blah, blah. We were trying to plan a date. I ended up canceling because I was exhausted. I ended up taking a weekend to like sleep. I was just really burnt out from work and volunteering and like family stuff and blah. So I canceled, and I was like, I'm free the next day. And, I gave all this like space in my life, and he really wanted to do a weekend, but he wasn't giving me an answer whether or not he could even do a weekday. Like, it was really vague, and I asked him twice. I'm like, so sorry, weekdays are out? Like, I don't, what's going on? And finally, like, he didn't really answer it, and then he's like, let's do Saturday. Even though I had already told him I'm working, I have this and that going on, I can't do Saturday. Somehow he spent a week not really planning it, and then out of the blue was like, hey, let's do tonight. And I'm like, again, there's that frustration of like, why is it so hard to like listen to simple things when you're making a plan? And I'm like, I am blah, like I can't. And it finally came out why he couldn't hang out on a weekday. He said that he had just moved into a new place and he was trying to make a good impression. How is that even a thing that makes any sense? I'm sorry, like, I can't. Like, I've never lived in a place where I couldn't leave on a weekday. And this guy's like in his late 30s too. So I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. So, yeah, lots of love to everybody. And, why don't you say hi? Would you say hi? She hates it. Okay, bye. Thanks for listening to my rant.